on here, so if we can start the meeting. I will call the meeting to order this time since we do not have a presiding officer elected for this meeting. One of the things we will do at the next meeting in November is have the election again, so that we already have a presiding officer. So let's make sure we actually let everybody in. Sorry. Drew, can you let the public in? We can start the meeting. We'll call the meeting to order at 5:31. We'll do roll call. Member John Bowders is absent today. Member Scott Donahue.
Here.
Member Diane Martinez.
Here.
Member Ali Medina.
Here.
Member Christian Patz.
Here.
Member Brenda Collins. Thought she was on. We'll check back. Member Susan Donaldson.
I'm here. Did you hear me?
Oh, we did not. So thank you.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. Member Susan Donaldson.
Here.
Member Salazar, Lawrence Salazar.
Here.
Member Cruz Vargas. And Member Cruz Vargas.
Here.
Okay. I think your volume's lower mine. And then
maybe
member John Van Geffen.
Present.
All right. So next we have public comment. Do we have anybody in the public who'd like to comment? We have 3 ways to do it. You can either submit an email to my email address, which is pjimenez@emeryville.org, or you can raise your hand in the participant area. If you click that, you can raise your hand, and we will give you 3 minutes for public comment. You can do it also by pressing, if you're just on the phone, press 9 to raise your hand. You can also do it that way. You have anybody? All right, my windows.
It does not appear that there is any comment right now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next part is election of presiding officers. I'd like to have a nomination for the city for this meeting, for the May meeting first.
I nominate Christian Patz.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Donahue for Christian Patz and second by Member Martinez. I'll do roll call.
Ask if there's any comment or
Oh,
discussion.
sorry. Any comments or questions?
Yeah, what are we electing for?
Presiding officer for the May meeting, which was a city official.
Oh, okay.
And then we're going to do the school district for the November meeting also after.
Pedro, Brian Donahue has a comment. I'm not sure what his number is, but he said he's been trying to push 9. His number
Should be
is,
*9. Sorry, I might have mistake earlier, but
yeah, it's 717-510-717-1281.
Drew, can you let him? Oh, there it is. I see it.
Yes.
So Pedro,
Yes.
can we just, before we start and vote for the presiding officer, can we just take a moment to welcome our new board member, John Van Geffen, to the table?
Yes. Can we go, before we go there, can we go to the public comment since we missed out on that?
Sure.
And then we'll come back to that. So public comment. Drew, can you let Mr. Donahue?
He is unmuted. So.
Brian, can you hear
Sorry?
us? Okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know. I did a written comment. Why didn't you receive that? I sent it yesterday. I presume, I guess you didn't receive it? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with the email?
I'm not sure. I apologize.
The
I
system
did
is
not
breaking
receive
down.
it.
I did a written comment. The system is breaking down. I don't have record of my comment right now. I mean, this is the second time I've done this kind of meeting, by remote, and the second time there's been problems. It says push 9 if you want to raise your hand. It didn't say push *9, and last time it was the same problem. I'd like the city of Emeryville to get on the ball with this. I mean, the onus is on you to make sure that the public can participate and make it as easy as possible. A lot of people don't have any computer savvy skills, and so there's a lot of people being shut out. And the fact that I did a written comment yesterday and you have no record of it, I sent it by email, I sent it to the city manager, I sent it to the mayor, and I sent it to the president of the board, and nobody got record of it. This is very disconcerting. Okay, let me move. I'll just try to remember my comment now. So this is public comment, opening of the meeting. We paid for a library when we voted for Measure J in 2005. We never got the library. We voted for it and paid for it. However, the Emeryville City Council put building a public library as in their 10 top priorities for 2020. So that's good. Finally, it would appear we're going to get our library. Years too late, but it looks like we're going to get it. So the problem is 2020 is half over. So I want to know, when are we going to, it's going to be at the library, it's going to be at the ECCL. That's where we paid for it to be and voted for it, the public library. So when the year is half over, how are you guys going to put this together? I want to know what the schedule is. I want to know, have there been meetings in private? Have there been public meetings? I want to know what's going on with the ECCL public library. You have 6 months to get it done, since it's a priority for 2020. I'd like some discussion on that right now. The Brown Act does provide that you are allowed to do short answers to questions, and the fact that you have done this in the past, both the school board and the council have answered questions in the past, means that to treat me fairly, you should honor my request for just a quick answer to my question. Where are we at with the library for 2020, since it's in the top 10 priority list? Again, all I'm asking is to be treated fairly like other commenters have been when their questions have been answered. So the Brown Act provides for it. Will you please enter a little bit of a discussion to answer my question about the library? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your comment. We have any other discussion or public comment?
So I just want a quick question. When someone comes to the public with a comment and a question, are we obligated by law to answer that question during public comments? Can anybody show me clarity?
Board member, the Brown Act, this is Christine, the city manager. The Brown Act allows for a brief response if in the discretion of the elected official they wish to do that. The Brown Act does not require any response to a public comment.
Thank you for that clarity.
Okay, do we have any other comments or public comment? If not, we will go back to election of presiding officers. But before we got into that, Member Collins, you wanted to recognize a new board member?
Yes, I'd just like to ask everyone to give a warm welcome to our new board member, John Van Geffen, and thank him for his willingness to step up in the lieu of the absentee. And we look forward to the work that can be done on behalf of our students, staff, and our community.
Welcome. Okay, so we have a motion to nominate Member Pats for the chair. So we'll take roll call. Member Donahue?
Aye.
Member Martinez,
Aye.
Member Medina,
Aye.
Member Pats,
Aye.
Member Collins,
Yes.
Member Donaldson,
Aye.
Member Van Geffen. You mute, you're on mute.
Aye.
Thank you. Member Salazar
Aye.
and Member Vargas.
Yes.
Okay. We have a unanimous vote. Now we have nominations for the November meeting, which will be a school board member.
I'd like to nominate Brenda Collins.
Second.
I'd like to nominate Susan Donaldson.
Do we have a second on that? I don't know, or if you want to take it back, or.
You know, Pedro, you now have a presiding officer who can chair the meeting. Mr.
Thank
Pats.
you. Please.
Oh, thank you, Cruz. But
Okay, so am I still muted? No, I'm unmuted. Okay, great. So we have a motion from Member Vargas, and I think there was a second from Member Van Geffen. Did I follow that correctly?
Correct.
All right. And now, Member Collins, are you wishing to make an additional or a substitute motion for Member Donaldson?
that's okay. I accept the nomination.
You accept the so you withdraw your motion.
Correct.
Okay, great. So roll call vote, please, Pedro.
Okay. Member Donahue,
Aye.
Member Martinez,
Aye.
Member Medina,
Aye.
Member Pats,
Aye.
Member Collins,
Yes.
Member Donaldson,
Aye.
Member Van Geffen,
Aye.
Member Salazar,
Aye.
Member Vargas.
Yes.
Okay, carried unanimously.
And I apologize, we should have had discussion and or comments on that, and I missed it. So if any member of the public did wish to speak on either of those, they could have, and I don't think we've had anybody submit anything, but if that happened, let me know. We move now to item 5 on the agenda, which is the approval of the November 7th minutes. I believe Pedro has some corrections from myself and possibly Member Bowders. So would you like to read those off, and then we'll take action on this?
Yes, thank you. Let me, for the corrections on the approval of the last minutes, the I votes should have been 8 instead of 7. And a notation that Member Donahue did not vote, was absent during the voting of the minutes. And also the correction, I had Inch on the roll call and it should have been Salazar.
Okay. Does anybody else have any corrections for the minutes? Before I take a motion, I'll see if there's any public comment on this. Minutes tend to be hot topic issues.
There's a hand raised, it looks like.
Whose hand is raised?
Someone enter in 1281.
They're unmuted now.
They're unmuted.
May I speak?
Yes.
Who's your floor?
Okay, I want to speak on item 4, but that's already passed. So I would still like to speak on item 4 because my comment is still relevant.
So feel free to speak on
Is
it.
that permitted?
It is.
Item 4 is election of presiding officers from both the city and the school district. My comment was going to be, and then I'll change the comment owing to the fact that you've already selected the presiding officers. My comment was going to be, I don't think you should nominate Member Van Geffen. And the reason is because Mr. Van Geffen has been hostile to the Emeryville's minimum wage ordinance, and I don't think that I think it's a bad idea to have somebody on the governing board that's hostile to our, settled law, the law that the people of Emeryville like and that we enacted, and for somebody to be openly hostile to it is unseemly, and that person shouldn't be elevated to presiding officer of the committee. Now that you've already done it and you did not elevate Mr. Van Geffen, I'm happy about that, but let me just say this then, moving forward, unless Mr. Van Geffen publicly changes his mind or makes it clear that he supports our settled law with the working poor, trying to help working poor people here in Emeryville. Unless he does that, I think that in the future we should not elevate Mr. Van Geffen to any kind of leadership role on the ECCL governance committee. Thank you very much. That's my comment.
Okay. Before we move on, did you have a comment on the minutes?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Van Geffen, I strongly suspect you know parliamentary procedure, but since this is your first meeting, I'm going to extend to you, you can take a point of personal privilege if you wish to respond to that. I would recommend just let the crazy man talk and move on.
I'll take a point of privilege just to state that I believe he misstated my position from several years ago, but I appreciate his comment and I acknowledge it.
Great, thank you. And with that, do I have a motion to approve the minutes? And welcome aboard, Mr. Van Geffen. I want to give you the opportunity to make the motion. Oh, you can't because you weren't here for that. I'm sorry. Can I get someone else to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion.
And I will go ahead and second just for the ease. So let's get a quick vote.
And Member Donahue?
Aye.
Member Martinez?
Aye.
Member Medina?
Aye.
Member Pats?
Aye.
Member Collins?
Yes.
Member Donaldson?
Aye.
Member Van Geffen?
I was not present, so I think it's appropriate for me to abstain.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Member Salazar?
Aye.
And Member Vargas?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. Okay, that brings us to item 6, the informational items. 6.1 is our third-party rental fees. So I believe, Pedro, you're presenting on this?
Yes. Let me. Get my screen up, sorry. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Really tiny, but I can see the screen, but not what it says. Okay.
I'll make it a little bigger. Does that help? Right
Yes.
there? Okay. So for the third-party rentals, this year, due to the current situation we're in with the shelter in place, we have made adjustments of recommending an adjustment of down to 170 from, I think the original one that we did for 1920 was 300,000. We haven't been able to rent out any facilities since March 16th and don't anticipate that there'll be any rentals probably until July, June at the earliest, if there are some changes or modifications made. And then so that's the third party rentals and what we're projecting right now as the adjustment for rentals. Also, there was fees approved by council at the last meeting on April 21st. Those are mostly sorry, a 2.5% CPI increase. There are some fees of 5% or current cost, they stayed the same. We tried to clean up some fees, adding in also a commercial business fee clarification, what those fees would be. And some fees were combined just to minimize confusion, and having so many layers of fees, people feel like we just had so many out there just to combine them and clean it up. Let me move that over. It was in the packet for all the fees that were, what the current fees are. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
A clarifying question for me. In the past, I'm just commenting on your note about that City Council approved these fees, and in the past, I have a recollection of this joint committee approving those any changes to those fees. So was there a change in procedure, or maybe I'm just mistaking as to what the appropriate way to go about this is? Or are we discussing today? What are we discussing today? Sorry, that would be a better question.
These are the fees that were recently approved, so we're just sharing the fees. I think our conversation from a previous meeting, we have had discussions before. I'm trying to recall right now, I'm drawing a blank. With when we did it last time, which meeting it was done at.
Pedro, if I could just jump in. This is Christine, the city manager. So this is the city's master fee schedule that goes to the city council each spring. And these fees are established by vote of the city council for the rental of the facilities that the community services department manages. The ECCL governance committee, under its bylaws, meets twice a year in May and November. The fee schedule is generally promulgated in March or April. So I don't know if that helps Board Member Vargas, but that's the structure.
Thank you. And is this committee's role to approve and or make recommendations to this particular schedule?
No, Board Member, the item before you that's on the agenda is with regard to reviewing the rental and providing you an update on the fees that were adopted. The rental revenues are really the focus of this item, primarily because of the impact on the next item, which is the O&M budget. We would have generally provided you an update at this meeting of the fees collected to date for this fiscal year. Last fiscal year, the rental revenue, I believe, was about $311,000. This fiscal year, we had been projecting a rental revenue of $300,000, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic and the inability to rent any of the facilities, we've had to adjust that projected revenue down substantially to $170,000, and that has a corresponding impact on the next item with regard to the cost share on the operations and maintenance budget. And then the other item we wanted to bring to your attention with regard to rental revenue is projected revenue for next fiscal year. And our projection at this point is a revenue of $250,000, which is a $50,000 decrease, because we are assuming that there will be some limitations going into next fiscal year on our ability to rent facilities.
Thank you. And then maybe my point of clarification is that, and I may be completely mistaken, but I believe that this time last year, the committee was asked to approve these fees and asked to provide feedback as well. And so that's why I'm just wondering of that sort of, I guess, procedural change, whether we're doing it the right way now, or whether we did it the right way before. And so that's what I'm hoping that maybe somebody can help me clarify that point.
We can research that question. I don't have an answer tonight, Pedro, unless you do.
No, I need to go back and look at what we did and what we had established. I do believe we did have discussions at a previous meeting, but I don't recall the details, so I have to come back with that information.
if memory serves, at the last meeting in May of last year, we talked about a bulk discount, which had never been done before. And so we brought that to this committee. But the fee schedule is always set by the city per the MOU. And because the city is in control of those spaces when the rental opportunities are there. So that's why it falls on that side. So so I could be wrong, but if my memory serves, that was the discussion. Pedro brought to us the idea of bulk purchasing of rental space for our frequent customers. Any other clarifying questions on the fee schedule? If not, we'll head over to the budget.
One last question for the $170,000. Was there any specific basis upon how that number was come about? I would assume a lot of the rentals take place in the summer, and I don't know that it's going to be any better this summer.
That's what we have year to date right now, so we don't expect any additional revenue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just as a point of clarification, I think, Pedro, if you can get Mr. Van Geffen a copy of the MOU, that'll help him with some of this stuff. Okay. As this is part of the same agenda item for 6, we will go on to 6.2 and do clarifying questions and then take public comment on both. So Pedro, if you want to start us on the review of the O&M budget.
Actually, is Dora on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dora Sue. I'm the CBO at Emeryville Unified School District. This evening, we're going to look at the Operation O&M budget that projected to be ended as of June 30th, 2020. And also, we will be looking at the preliminary budget for the next school year. So I would like to point to your attention to the spreadsheet that you're now looking at, to the far right corner, which is the last 2 columns on the far right, which you will see 2019-20 estimated actuals, which is our projected June 30th, 2020, how the O&M budget is going to end it. So it's a total of $1.289 million. And that obviously is, we put in some kind of adjustment because of the pandemic situation that we are facing right now. But after all, this is our best estimate that the O&M budget will be ended by the end of this school year. And then the column next to that is our preliminary 2021 O&M budget. And I try to put some kind of notes on the far right side to give you a little bit explanation why the number changed and so on. You will see the city share is about 29% of the O&M budget, and the district is sharing 71% of the O&M budget. So it's going to be projected to be a total of $1.389 million on the O&M budget for next school year. So any questions that the council or the board members have for me looking at this O&M budget right now?
So anybody have any questions, clarifying questions?
Again, just like what Pedro mentioned earlier, during the second interim, we projected the third-party rental to be $275,000. And now we are reducing it to $170,000 for this school year. And it's going to back up to $250,000. I mean, $250,000 for the next school year.
No clarifying questions?
A comment from my end?
A comment from who?
From me?
Go ahead.
Dora, thank you. Or maybe it is a clarifying question. So, so we're looking, so what we are projecting is that the current situation, we expect to a lost opportunity of close to $100,000 worth of revenue. And then because expenditures stay relatively the same, regardless of that loss in third-party rentals, then the proportion to make up for that loss in third party is then proportional to the joint occupancy agreement, which means that the district covers the bulk of the share of this at 71%.
That's right. You will see on the general fund contribution to the O&M budget from the school side, under the second interim, we are projected to contribute to the O&M operation about 767,000. Now we are projecting that number will increase to 780,000.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Okay. Any other clarifying questions?
Can I make a comment? A couple of things that I just wanted to be said. The reason 250 is being estimated right now is we still are in communications with our third-party rentals like the church groups and the swim teams, and they've all still showing interest. As soon as they're able to get back, they still want to return. So once they're able to, and we believe we can probably reach that goal if it does happen between July and August. Everything's dependent on that and what modifications are made to the shelter in place. For 1920, we were able to show some estimated savings in utilities and a few of the contracts because they stopped on March 16th, or they were going to be reduced a lot for the remainder of the school year since the school year was closed. For next year, we are showing most of the expenditures to stay status quo, so there could be some savings there, but it all depends on how things go. So I just wanted to add that information.
Okay, so before I open up to public comment, I did have one question. You guys looked at the use matrix in April, and I'm not sure that got shared out with everybody, but I'm curious if we're readjusting the use matrix given the shelter in place and the change in the use, because the use matrix is the driver of these percentages. So that's my question. Did we look at the use matrix?
This is to the school district, or?
That's to you, because you and Christine sit on the executive committee, I guess. So I should, the city manager, and it's.
The answer, Mayor Pats, is no. The facility's been closed for all purposes since the second week of March.
Got it. Okay, so that still needs to be done before we can start talking about next year, is looking at that use matrix, right? Because that's the driver. And to the public comment question about the library that had been asked of me, and so I've looked at the old use matrix because that is in there. So I'm really curious because there's certain spaces that we're not using, but the percentage is still at 29. So, but we can come back to that. All right. That brings us to public comment on this item. Have we had any cards submitted, or, and I can't see everybody with the shared screen, so I believe the
you do. There is one member of the public who has their hand raised.
Okay.
So I will unmute them and they can speak.
Excellent.
Okay, I'd like to state that I think that it's unseemly that the presiding officer is disparaging people that might have mental illness. Now, that's going to have a chilling effect on people that have mental illness that want to participate in Emeryville public meetings. If they feel like they're going to be, have the piss taken out of them, as it were, they, it's going to have a chilling effect on accountability, and you're sort of excluding people with mental illness. I just think it's unseemly. I don't think the city should be doing this. And I understand that Emeryville, especially the school district, but city as well, has this ongoing problem with accountability and transparency at Emeryville writ large. But that kind of thing does not help. And so I don't think you guys should be doing that, disparaging people that come and comment. We're allowed to disparage you, the public officials, and you're legally entitled to disparage us, but it's just not a good idea. I mean, that's not your bailiwick. You're going outside of your lane when you do that as elected officials. So, and then the fact that there's no discussion or mention whatsoever about the library question I had earlier sort of speaks to that. It's like it seems like transparency and accountability is not something you guys are interested in. That was a legitimate question. And, you know, it's just discouraging to me to see, you know, you get accused of not being, having transparency and accountability in the forefront. And then when you do things to encourage the stereotype or to prove the stereotype, it's just discouraging. And, you know, me and the other people in Emeryville pay for our government. And, you know, we just want a government that works and one that's, you know, transparent and accountable. So shame on you guys. That's all.
Okay, any other public comment? Okay, I chose my words poorly and I will formally apologize to you, citizen. And we'll move on to 7.1, approval of the O&M budget. Is Doris Sue again?
Yes. Dora, do you have anything else to add, Dora?
No, I don't.
Okay, so
Can I ask a question, Kristen?
please.
Is there a time where we do reevaluate the city share, the percentage, the matrix? Is that built in somewhere into the MOU that every such and such years we review this?
Actually, the JOA does speak that the first 5 years should be tried to maintain at status quo, and then after that can be reevaluated.
Okay,
So we're almost there. It's next year.
Sorry, I thought it spoke to it being on the executive committee on by the 1st of April.
I need to clarify that as far as a discussion item by the executive committee, the JOA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to look into that, confirm. I don't know, Kristen or Dr. Scott. I'm sorry, Christine or Dr. Scott have anything?
Mayor Pats, I don't have an answer for you immediately if you want to table that till the end of the meeting, or if we can come back with that in November.
Member Donaldson, since you asked the question, how would you like them to respond?
If we can have it by the end of the meeting, that would be great.
Great. Okay.
But otherwise, the November will work.
I think they can email it to you in the interim.
And perhaps Dr. Scott has an answer to that. I don't want to step in front of her. She's just as much a part of this as I am.
Thank you. I think we're about to say the same thing. I will search and see if I can find information, and I'll email everyone or respond it by the end of the meeting.
Okay, great.
I mean, again, sorry, just in light of all of this that's happening, you know, I think it is worth someone keeping an eye on whether or not, you know, anticipating that we may be in this situation of not typical use for the next year, that it would be a good idea for people to keep a watch, someone to keep a watch on the use.
Yeah. I think I couldn't agree with you more. And it's formally laid out that that's the executive committee, which is there, and there's, I had it somewhere. There's some number of hours that they look at. So
yeah, there's program drivers that drive the percentage split of usage. So there is a mechanism that's used. So we can definitely look at it based on city and district use, and then because it's not third parties is something we both share. So it's just based on actual space use. So we can definitely review that in the future. That's part of that can be done on a yearly basis, I believe. Actually, now I do recall. Overall, though, like I'd go back to, it was suggested in the JOA of not changing much in the first 5 years to really try to get a baseline of everything.
And unfortunately, we are not in a time where we can keep status quo.
Right.
All right. So this is an action item. Let's take public comment and then I'll call for a vote.
I move to approve the budget.
Let's take public comment, then I'll have that as a motion, I think. But thank you.
That's the order. Apologize.
No worries. I'm ready to take it. Pedro, any public comment out there?
Drew, do you have anything? Let's
No, I
see.
don't see any right now.
All right. So I have a motion from Ms. Salazar, and in the sense of expediency, I'll go ahead and second. Roll call, please.
Oh, sorry. Member Donahue?
Aye.
Member Martinez?
Aye.
Member Medina?
Aye.
Member Pats?
Aye.
Member Collins?
Yes.
Member Collins?
Yes. Did you hear me?
No, we didn't hear the first time, sorry.
Oh, yes.
Member Donaldson?
Aye.
Member Van Geffen?
Aye.
Member Salazar?
Aye.
Member Vargas?
Yes.
Carried unanimously.
Great. Thank you. Okay, that brings us on to item 8, the update from the Administrative Committee. So Dr. Scott or Ms. Daniels Esquire, either of you have anything to report? Or Pedro, are you handling this one?
I don't think we had anything that I'm aware of.
We have not met during the shutdown.
Okay. All right. That's a short report then. Future agenda items. So I don't think we have many of these. So I'll just throw it out there. If anybody has any future agenda items, speak now.
Mr. Mayor, the Joint Administrative Committee can report back on the use matrix at the November meeting.
Perfect. I was going to ask for that. All right. Nobody has future agenda items. It would be nice to get the update on the solar as well. I think that's been sitting on a future agenda item for a while. So I'd like to see that at the November meeting as well, just because it's been sitting there for more than 6 months now. Okay, for announcements, I'm just going to go through. I'll start with the school district, and I'm going to go in the order that is the alphabet. So, Member Collins, any announcements or comments?
I just wanted to congratulate the city and the schools on the passage of both measures.
Thank you. Member Donaldson.
I just wanted to say thank you to all of the teachers and the school staff and the cities, the police, our first responders, healthcare, the usual for everybody that's out there helping our town.
Okay, members, thank you. Member Salazar.
No announcements, just thank you to everybody, and everyone is staying safe, and thank you for everyone's flexibility as we're all navigating a lot of new changes.
Thank you. All right, Member Van Geffen.
Nothing but to announce my appreciation for being brought onto the board and looking forward to working with everyone for the community.
Thank you. Member Vargas?
None for me. Stay safe, everybody.
Okay. Member Bowders is not here. Member Donahue?
I think our city seems like it's working to stay safe. Judging from what I've seen in the public, I think we have to keep it up.
Thank you. Member Martinez?
Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment to welcome Member Van Geffen to school board, and I just wanted to thank the entire school board and staff for the implementation of distance learning in a very rapid fashion, and considering food security and technology for our students at Emory. So thank you. Your efforts have been noticed.
Okay. Member Medina?
No comments.
Okay. I want to take a moment and second what Member Martinez has done. The messaging the district has gotten out about nutrition and technology, and I've heard nothing but good things from the families that I've talked to about your transition to Zoom. You know, I spent yesterday getting technology into the hands of paraeducators and watched 990 school lunches go out at a different district. And it's a Herculean task, and I want to commend the district, both from what I'm hearing from families in town, but also from what I'm seeing on social media, you getting the message out. So Dr. Scott, if you would tell your nutrition team, well done, and your technology team, really, I'm just impressed, and thank you. And with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone have a good